Your media, where you are.
From a podcast studio in Johannesburg, South Africa, you are listening to What the Relationship with host Candice and our extra special guest,
Miss Foyin OG. Miss OG if you're nasty.
Yes! We thought we'd start at ASMR, but it's okay. We're always on this vibe,
We like to switch things up. We like to do
switch
different
things
things.
We do.
We do.
Yeah. So if you're looking for a podcast that talks about all things relationship with some questionable advice, we hope we'll make a great pair. A wise woman once said, being single is one of life's neglected joys. Which wise woman, you may ask? Me.
Love it.
And how might I've chanced upon this individual golden nugget, you may further ask, is that I've been single. Although I'm in a relationship now, but I love the idea of love, right?
Yeah.
But society has put single people in a negative light. I don't know if you've seen, like, on Date My Family, people ask when you're single, people are like, oh, I've been single for 3 months. You're like, why are you single?
What's wrong with you?
What's wrong with you,
Yeah.
right? So today, we're chatting about embracing singlehood. And Foyin, why are you single? Why are you single?
Please don't ask me this question.
Why
Me, if
are
I
you
knew I was
single?
single, I wouldn't be single. Like, it's
No.
not.
Why are you single? Tell me now.
I feel like I don't have the answer, Sway. There are a lot of contributing factors.
Okay.
And I think also one of them is having someone to date you.
Okay.
But beyond that, I feel like I'm in a very transitory space in my life.
I feel like you're giving a politically correct answer right now, Foyin.
It's because why are you asking me this question?
Why are you single?
Do you want a list of my flaws? Because it'll
I'm
be a
just
very
trying to-
short list.
I just feel like, I don't know, have people seen you're a bomb? You're a bomb.
That's why I'm saying me, fine girl like me, I don't know why I'm single. That's why I say you're asking the wrong person. I am not the one with the answers to this question.
Okay, why do you think you're single?
There's a lot of different things to talk about when
Yes.
you're talking about singlehood. Because,
Yes.
there are people who are, voluntarily single. The people who are
Okay.
choosing just to disengage from the dating sphere right now.
All
And
right.
and to a certain extent, that is me. I came out of a very long-term relationship in the midst of a pandemic, and just a lot was going on, and work
dating
was
in a panini?
No, I got dumped in a panini.
Oh, wait.
So-
was it like it's not me, it's you? Or
Listen, it was just a lot happened, and
Okay.
then that had to recover from that.
Okay.
And then that was in the midst of a panini, and I'm an influencer, I'm a freelancer, so work was also just a lot. And then I decided to move to a different city, and someone had to fund that, and unfortunately it had to be me. So a lot was just been going on. So for the betterment of everyone, I think it's best that I didn't get into a relationship at the time. So in that regard, I chose to be single. But on the other hand, you can also speak about things like desirability politics. You can
Right.
speak about all of the isms, like
Right.
colorism, racism, xenophobia, ism. That wasn't an ism, but you get me.
Yeah, I get
You
you.
can speak about all of those different aspects that play into why someone isn't in a relationship at the moment. But
Yeah.
then you can also just think of it like there are 7 billion people in the world right now. Why do you think your soulmate lives in Foy's? So it's it's also have I just not have I just not come across my person?
But World Health Organization has actually classified being single as a disability.
That's crazy.
Does it
Am I entitled to compensation?
I don't know how that works, but they've definitely classified it as a disability.
That's hectic.
So you mentioned the fact that you chose to be single. Is it just a thing of preference, or you just what, the market out there is not great for me, or life right now is just not
It's a combination of all of the above. Life is
Okay.
a lot, but that's not to say I'm not looking. I really am looking, but there's just nothing to see. So I think that's also,
especially in South Africa.
and I think it's I because of all of my past relationship experiences,
Yeah.
and also the way in which my life has changed in the past year.
yeah.
I'm not trying to say that my standards have drastically increased, but more like my tolerance has very much decreased.
Okay.
So at the same time, if I wanted to date someone, I feel like I could just date the first man who speaks to me on Tinder. But I don't want to do that. I don't like them like that. I just personally don't want that smoke.
Okay.
So in that regard, I am choosing singledom because I feel like people are not meeting me at the place where I want to be met, or they're not giving what they're supposed to give. Like, it's not by fire, by force that I must just date the next person.
100%,
but at the same time, I am looking. It's just not happening. So I'm just like, you know what? Let me just focus on my money, my life.
It's a balance.
It's a balance.
I'm looking, but I'm also sort of embracing it.
I'm trying to embrace my singlehood because let me put it like this.
Yeah.
I have had 2 boyfriends in my life, and every time we break my entire, that's why I said we can get into this discussion of desirability and the isms and all of this such to delve into my romantic past.
So you didn't date anyone in high school?
No, girl.
Oh, you did, but
who are you supposed to date in high school? I'm sorry.
People?
I went to like a white ass private school. They only want you to date the other black boy from the other private school who you have nothing really in common with.
That's
and then
true.
if it's not him, then it's not anyone, because the black boys at your school are also looking down on all of the black girls there,
and
because
they,
they
only
also
want
the white
bunnies.
I know. So that's like there's a lot that was good. Like, I saw a tweet that phrased it about like we weren't late bloomers, so to speak. It's actually just that like we weren't seen as desirable back in high school, so we weren't included in those moments and those like coming of age dating situations. Those just weren't for us, you know. 100%. They weren't for me. So I've made peace with that, I guess. So there was also like that, but like after each of the relationships that I've had, I have found that after we break up, I get richer, I get clearer,
you elevate,
get more
your life just goes up.
My life goes up, so I'm actually just like, am men the problem? Am I the problem? Like, is it how I function in relationships that I don't elevate necessarily as much with them?
Explain why your relationships ended. Was it a thing of you didn't see eye to eye? Was the person toxic? Were they keeping you from things?
The first one, they were definitely toxic.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a big story, but they were a mess. And then the second one, I feel like it was also just a misalignment of not values per se, but like futures.
Okay, yeah.
Like, yeah.
So the elevation is definitely like the breakup glow up is definitely
the breakup glow up is there.
Leave,
so that's also why I'm like, my standards have increased and my tolerance has decreased, because I'm like, I'm actually doing so much better by myself right now. So if I were to get into another relationship, they either need to meet me where I'm at or elevate me beyond that. Like, I cannot go back down. I cannot be spending all my money on a man. I cannot go to a man who lives with his parents. Nothing wrong with that, but as I don't live with my parents.
Exactly.
So I can't, and if you have a place, I can't go there and you only have one flat pillow.
Right.
You only have like 2 forks and you have half an onion in your fridge. I'm sorry, Midrand. I feel like that's a sub to somehow.
It literally is. Like when people post like a picture of their room.
Yes, and you see no headboard or no TV stand.
There's a camp chair. And you're like, this is Midrand.
It's just, Midrand keeps catching strays.
And so for some reason. And what doesn't make sense is a gent from Midrand will be driving like a
They'll drive an M4.
Or an M4 or G-Wagon. Then they're putting you up into your apartment and you're like,
child,
your cutlery is the plastic cutlery.
You're sitting on a camp chair.
What's going on?
And I'm like, I'm not trying to be necessarily classist in that regard, because we all have different backgrounds and different financial struggles. But it's just like, I am at a place in my life where I can provide certain things for myself. So I don't want to have to stress about having to provide those for you as well.
You can't provide cutlery to your boyfriend.
And there's also things like men who are financially insecure become incredibly manipulative and controlling and have their own issues within the relationship. So that adds when you have more than them, that adds another dimension to the dynamics that never really works out in the woman's favor. And then it starts to build resentment and insecurity and controlling behavior. And it's like, those are all problems that I feel like I have dealt with enough. I don't need to do that again at my big age. I don't need to do that again. I've experienced enough. I've seen enough that I do not wish to see anymore. That's it. That's it right now. So I'm just,
I think I 100% like understand the journey you're going through, and especially in just like making sure that your life really aligns with someone else's life. You can't put in the work within yourself and then put in the work for someone else, you know, especially as Black women, where we
always have to put in the work. We're always doing the work for other people. So it's like, the soft life movement really, really hit home for me.
Normalize it, please.
In our lives, we already have to fight so much, fight for everyone, fight for ourselves. Me, I'm tired of fighting.
Yes.
I don't want to, like, all my life, I had to
fight.
And I don't want to fight no more. And I feel like it is perfectly fair and within my rights and within what I can do for myself to want more, because like even if I didn't have what I had, it's still perfectly fair for me to want more than what I have.
And I don't think, as in particular as Black women, we should never like tone it down.
Yes, and we so often have to feel bad about the things that we want and the treatment that we want. We're often fighting for scraps that a lot of other people don't have to fight for. And I'm just like, me, I'm tired of fighting personally. So that also brings in the aspect of voluntary singledom.
Right.
And that like I could be with someone.
Yeah.
But then I'd have to do a lot of work.
Yeah.
And like I don't mind doing the work. Me, I can relationship. I can date. I can be a girlfriend. I can invest in people. I can help you build you up. But I don't want to have to do too much excess work if I'm not going to be also on the receiving end of the benefits.
Right.
You know, like there's a lot of people, there's a lot of men that will just take, but it's like, what are you actually getting back?
Exactly.
And I don't mind giving if the reciprocation is there.
Yes.
But if we're not on equal footing, we will never reciprocate equally.
100%. Black women were conditioned to sacrifice. I think that's one thing that the patriarchy's made us do.
Definitely.
Like, just conditioned to always like
give. And then like they make you
like,
feel bad for taking stock and being like, but what am I getting? And they're like, oh, so you're just some slay queen gold digger who wants stuff. And I'm like, who said that?
Who said that?
Who has ever said that? When has that ever been the case? But then they keep that to like whip you back in check so that you keep quiet and you just endure
to keep you in
and
line.
you're because like you're just that hun. And I just don't feel like that serves me anymore. Doesn't grow me. It hinders me. So that is why I'm trying to meet people who are at least like in my life stage or beyond, because I can catch up. I'm very adept. I'm like I can do things on my own. I can reach where I want to reach, and like either you're gonna help me along the way or you're actually just gonna get in my way. So
you know what, I feel like when you meet the potential bae, they need to listen to this episode.
I'm dead.
Because no, you are literally listing out everything that you expect in the next
but like,
relationship.
and it's also so funny because it's like my expectations are really not that much.
I think as women in general, we don't expect that much.
And it's just because men have just gotten so used to giving nothing.
Nothing.
Now that when we ask them to do something, they're just like, whoa.
It's like that Oprah Winfrey.
Like, there's literally just who said that? Like, what is going on? What is this, honey? Like, so they're just getting that shock from being asked to be equal partners in a relationship.
It's literally like that meme of like you come out of the car and then you're like, please give me this. I'm asking for affection and love and attention, honesty, trust. And they're running and you're like, why are you running?
Literally, why are you running? Why are you running?
Literally.
And like, it's also so funny because I will make these lists of demands.
Yes.
And the first thing a man will do is be like, what do you bring to the table?
We're
not talking about me. First of all, we're not talking about me. But even beyond that, even if I bring absolutely nothing to the table, it's still 100% valid to ask for these things, to ask for someone who is invested in their growth, to ask for someone who is supportive and caring and faithful and trustworthy and empathetic and like it's perfectly valid to want a partner who appreciates you, is affectionate, etc., etc. Like even if I don't bring anything to the table in a relationship, it's not whack to ask for a good, safe, healthy love.
Exactly.
Like I shouldn't have to be a university graduate with a 6-figure job that has me and a car and an apartment just to ask a man to be a decent human being. I shouldn't have to have a list of credentials just to ask you to be grand. And if you think that way, now we already know who to cross off from the list. We know who to avoid. Red flags
now we
all
know
around.
There's no point
Any
in
man who's
delving
busy,
more
if
into
that
this
is the conversation he wants to have instead of listening to what I'm saying, we have no business talking further.
Tell them.
Just leave it. We'll leave it here.
So for me, with this conversation, I think like for someone who's single, you know, like I said earlier, society has really made being single like this negative thing. Like you're alone, you're this hermit. life is going to be a thing where you're just going to be with like 60 cats.
Yeah.
But I think more than anything, embracing singlehood is that opportunity to really get to know yourself.
Yeah.
And really get to know that for the next relationship,
Yes.
this is what I want, right?
Like each relationship teaches you more specifically, they teach you what you don't want for your next relationship.
100%.
And it's so funny because it's like, in this efforts to undo the stigma of singledom, I feel like we sometimes also swing to the absolute opposite extreme, where especially for like cis-het women, there's this, we're trying to decenter men in our lives and also to try and find purpose and value outside of romantic relationships. And I think that's 100% important. But one thing I found on my singlehood journey is that like, I can do everything that I need for myself, but I don't want to.
Right.
I value companionship, I value love, and I feel like I thrive personally, mentally, physically, like emotionally when I have a romantic companion. And I think a lot of people feel this way, which is 100% valid because humans are not like an island. We don't exist
100%.
in isolation. We need community, and
Yeah.
love and affection and companionship also falls part of community.
100%.
But sometimes when we're trying to undo this whole like being single is bad.
Yeah.
We're now just like, oh, you want a boyfriend? Work on yourself. Love yourself. And it's like
yes,
me
it's like
wanting
this,
a partner does not mean that I don't love myself. It means that I also just know and love and understand myself enough to still want companionship. Like
Exactly.
you cannot self-love yourself out of wanting companionship.
But I think there does need to be some form of mindfulness in that.
Yes.
Like if you leave a relationship of like 6 months and then you're jumping into another relationship within a week,
Yes.
there probably hasn't been enough time
To like process and understand.
and reflect and understand.
Yeah.
Like I think more than anything, what I've taken from high school culture is that a lot of people would jump from one person
relationship to the next.
So
personally,
quickly.
I was just like, how do you keep finding all these people that want to date you? That's
Right?
crazy. Like you just have this line of people.
What is it?
I was, if anything,
to
I was actually
understand.
impressed. I was
No,
just,
I
I
was
was
just-
really your stamina. Because after a heartbreak, like honestly, I don't want to speak to anybody. I don't want to tell anybody my favorite
And
color.
high school heartbreak was different, guys.
Wait,
It was
now
in
you
the,
see
it
them
was
in
in the time
class.
of like Rihanna. It was in the time of
There
those
was so
Tumblr
much good
posts,
music
you know?
and so many memes to capsulate
And Twilight
how you
came
feel.
out, so you were looking for that
So the
Jacob
fact that
slash
you've
Edward,
literally
so
just-
you're keen to jump from
The
one.
fact that you've just broken up and you're
you
like,
know?
yeah, let's do it again. What's your favorite color? No way. I can't do that. I need a break. Like even now, I'm just like dreading getting to know someone again.
Yeah.
Like, that just seems so like laborious and
Yes.
strenuous.
Yes.
Oh, that's why people just go back to their exes, but that's a different chat
No,
for another
okay,
day.
please, no. I think that's also another part about embracing singlehood. I think one thing that I struggled a lot with my previous relationship when we broke up was the stages of grief.
Yes.
Because you go through the anger, you go
Yes.
through the denial, you go through the guilt, you go through
The
every
bargaining,
single thing,
everything.
the
Bargaining is a very long stage. And the worst thing is people don't know how long they're in bargaining stage because they don't even know what it
Exactly.
means. So they're like, what's bargaining? But then meanwhile, they're bargaining.
Exactly.
They're
I
bargaining.
remember there was this one day when I found myself like starting my car mindlessly and then driving all the way to Edenvale. And it was just my friend who called me. She's like, hey, I'm just checking up on you. Are you okay? And I'm like, oh, thanks for calling me. I was about to just pull up at this guy's house, you know?
Child.
Like, can you imagine?
Child.
And also Edenvale's very far.
You went
It's
to
like,
the Vale, the
Girl,
Dirty East.
it's
child.
girl, I dated in the dirty. Oh my gosh.
Not Edenvale, child.
I regret it so much, but we're here now.
But we're here now, girl.
I
But like
elevated.
it is important to have that time after a breakup to fully like process everything. And when you try to rush embracing singlehood, you like, I don't want to say you gaslight yourself, but you truly do invalidate a lot of really healthy and normal emotions
Yes.
and things that experience. And sometimes people end up going back to their ex because they need that sort of familiarity and companionship.
Exactly.
And because a lot of people have tried to like portray singlehood and embracing singlehood as a sort of peak independence. So you feel embarrassed for wanting that companionship.
Exactly.
So then what do you do out of that shame?
Yeah.
You go back to people you ought
No,
not
it's-
go back
exactly.
to. And
That
you do
you're
it
advised
in
not to.
secret
Yes.
because you just wanted that very human relationship with another person.
100%.
And
I relate.
there needs to be some sort of balance between understanding who you are and embracing your time alone and using that time to reinvest in your friendships, your platonic friendships and your family and building up your community, while also understanding that community and friendships and family do not negate the role of a romantic partnership if you are a romantic person. If you are obviously a aromantic or asexual person, you can fill those needs in other ways. But for the rest of us who actually do need that sort of stimulation or like interpersonal relationship, you cannot like self-love yourself out of that situation. And you will try and you will fail and then you'll feel bad about yourself for failing. What am I doing wrong? And then you'll like cycle into a huge thing of insecurity.
On the previous breakup, I can like, so we broke up in 2015. Then I went into I went into this whole like thing. Life happened. A friend of mine passed away, and through that mourning and grief, I felt that I needed that companionship. So I went back to him. And then it was only like 2-3 months that we were together. And then we went back into the whole old habits of fighting, not understanding each other. We broke up, and then I had to really just say, I'm blocking you because I don't want to come back to you. I don't want to, if I experience something, feel the need to call, or so I have to block you. I block all my exes when I break up with them.
It's perfectly valid.
It's a safeguard for me.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you go through that whole process of like waking up in the morning and not having someone to text to, and it's like, you feel a bit.
It really is a prolonged phase. You
have this hurt in your heart and you just don't know what to do. But I 100% agree with you in saying that you have to go through it. You have to go through it, and you also have to like find yourself again with other people.
And it's very difficult because a lot of people don't talk about the difficulties of finding yourself after a breakup. You're just supposed to move on, and people expect it to be on an accelerated timeline. But depending on how long you're with that person, it'll be really difficult. Like I was with someone for like my majority of my early 20s, and those are really important formative years in your life. Like a lot of your interests and hobbies and things you do, people you know are very much heavily influenced by the person that you're with. So now when you're no longer with that person, you have to now redefine or just like examine every aspect of your life to understand, is this what I wanted or is this what they wanted? Am I comfortable continuing in this hobby, in this area, in this thing, or was that because of my partner? Do I actually like this show, or did I watch it because he liked it? Do I like this song, or was that his music? And I found that a lot of the things in my life were heavily influenced by him, but they could stay because I liked them as well. And that is still perfectly valid to do. But I had to sit and take stock of my life and break everything down and then rebuild it piece by piece to assess what was mine, what was his, what I want to keep, what needs to go. And when we like try rush this healing process, try rush that like post-breakup recovery, we end up keeping a lot of the baggage that wasn't ours to carry. 100%. We end up shoving down a lot of healthy emotions that we should have expressed and let go, and we just do ourselves ultimately a disservice because we were just trying to heal, because that's what you do after a breakup. You move on.
100%,
but sometimes you can't. And if you don't actually sit and understand why you can't move on, you never will. You know, because you're just supposed to love yourself and heal and take a bubble bath and a face mask and everything will be okay. And you just meet someone new. And I'm like, life doesn't work that way.
But that's how rom-coms or pop culture makes it to be. Like, you'll be okay. You eat ice cream. You
cry for 2 days and then
you'll be fine.
You have a sleepover with the girls. They hug you. You cry it out and then you just put on your girl boss blazer and heels and walk out into the world anew.
I think what people underestimate is that even irrespective of whether the relationship was intimate or, you know, there is some form of spirit and energy you hold on to with that person. You have to go through a process of, like I said, grieving.
Yes, you have to mourn.
No longer in my life, and you have to mourn, and your body has to go through that process.
And I think it's also because we're young that a lot of people don't take that seriously. They think, oh, you're 22. What was your relationship anyway? Like, you can just move on, get over it. Like, it wasn't serious. But it was as serious to me as your marriage is to you, because that's the only relationship I've known. That is the only frame of reference I've had. So that breakup will be devastating to me. It will rock my entire world because I don't know what it's like to be married. So this was my everything, you know? So when people look down on you, then you start to internalize internalize that shame.
Yeah.
And then now you feel like you can't go through the grieving process properly because, you've been grieving for too long.
Yeah.
Or why are you still hung up on this guy you only dated for a year and you
Right.
dated in varsity? Like, what is
Right.
that? Like, but there are lots of things that happen in your relationships, and it's important to mourn it so that you can heal properly, you know?
Yeah.
And when people diminish that, especially because you're young, especially because you're like female as well, like they think you're just, you know, being dramatic or whatever, you really can't heal properly because you're forcing yourself to move past those issues instead of properly handling them.
Right. So there's a list here that says 8 reasons you should embrace your singlehood with joy.
Yes.
So let's go through each point and see
where we at,
right? So number 1, you will be your own priority.
I love that. And I feel like that's where I am at right now in my life. And that's why I'm pretty comfortable. Like, I just moved not to a new city, but it's like a new city to me in my adulthood. I moved back to Joburg.
Yeah.
I got my own place. I'm living my life on my terms. I even said to my friends, they mustn't give me house plants, like real plants for gifts, because I really don't want any other responsibility beyond myself. Having to look after a plant is having to look after something, and I only want to look after myself right now. If I want to go out, I will just go out. If I want to stay in, I will just stay in. If I want to watch this, I'll just do, like, I really only just have to worry about myself, and that is a freedom that I'm totally loving right now. Yes, it gets lonely, but also loneliness passes.
Yeah, that's true. That is very
Give it
true.
some time and you'll get over it.
Especially when you add male energy to your space, you're like,
when you actually have to think about, to meet a man, to speak to him, to get comfortable around him, you're just like, you know what, I'll be fine.
I'll be fine. Netflix will be fine.
I'll just pour a glass of wine. I'm
100%
fine.
agree. I 100% agree. And I think oftentimes when we are single, we tend to lose track of remaining true to being single means I look within myself.
Yes.
You know, and I think oftentimes, especially as Black women, we often go, okay, so I'm single now. I need to find the next man to give to.
Yes.
Not really
or just like
within.
the next something to give to, the next hobby, job, family, like something always has to take our energy, time, resources. How often can we really just be selfish and focus purely on ourselves, you know? So
Giving
just
yourself the
investing
time.
into yourself. You want to buy that bag, buy it because it makes you happy. Just live your life. And that is something I'm 100% enjoying about being single right now. It is so, I don't want to say it's underrated because like everyone knows that you only have to prioritize yourself when you're single. But like, it's so good. Yeah. It's so good.
I 100% agree. I think oftentimes also being in like a very long-term relationship, there are days when I'm like, I think I need to prioritize myself.
Yeah.
And as much as I care about this individual,
you need that space. You need space.
Let me just do me.
And singledom really just gives you a lot of space. Yeah. Sometimes it's too much space.
But I think there's certain, I mean, I have a friend who used to have like a postcard within her relationship.
Yes.
Where they would give her boyfriend and the boyfriend would give her a pass.
Yes.
Just to be single.
Just
want
want
to.
out.
But
I mean, that works for them. So I'm a reserved comment because that works for them.
Would you agree with that principle?
I thought the principle is mostly just about like, I don't want to talk today. I don't want to see you today. I just want to have a breather.
Sure.
But it's also just like,
have a breather with my girls.
I mean, I get, but as in like, you can define in your relationship what exactly that postcard means to you. But I feel like every relationship needs some sort of concept like that, where you just have your own space, your own time to breathe, your own time to think. Because especially once you get to the age and stage where you start living with each other and stuff, you are just in each other's space constantly. Yeah. So you really just be like, I just want to go away for the weekend with the girls by myself. I just want to unplug from you. Just want to just rest, you know? So that is something that you can adopt even in a relationship. But when you're single and you just have no one to go back to and you can just do it on your terms, it's also like really refreshing.
Yeah. I don't know. I think at some point, not to say that I would like be in an open relationship, but these days when you're like, look, my girls are going away for Cape Town for the weekend, and we might do some crazy shit. Yeah. Can I have a pass where if I might do crazy shit, there won't be any repercussions?
Well, that's why I'm like, it depends.
I can still be loyal to you.
Yes, that's why I'm like, it depends what crazy means in the context of your relationship. So for some people who are open with like polyamory or open relationships, they'll be like, if you want to go hook up with someone else, you're within your rights to do that. Just probably disclose it to me, or you don't have to disclose it to me. Just be safe, etc. for health purposes, and you can do that. Personally, it's not for me. I know that myself. But like the whole concept of I just want to go away with the girls for a weekend without you, I feel like that should be perfectly fine, like within any relationship, because we're not attached at the hip.
Yeah,
you know,
we're not.
we need space. We have our own friends. We have our own interests. We should be allowed to have time to just be our separate humans. You know, we don't have to morph into one huge relationship blob. And we need that kind of independence in relationships in as much as we need it in singledom.
100% agree. All right. So point number 2, all your time is yours. So obviously, like, you know, like you can't cuddle, like,
That,
you know,
like,
but all your time is yours. You don't have to like prioritize having to go see their family or...
Well, I feel like I don't think it's true necessarily that all your time is yours.
Yeah.
Because that is one thing that, like, I think is important to not destigmatize or just to express about singledom, is that singledom is not the same as loneliness.
Exactly.
All your time is not necessarily yours. You just don't have a romantic partner right now.
Exactly.
So your time is with your friends. Your time is with your family. Your time is in your interests and hobbies and work.
It's not to say you're not
It's not to say you're not going to do anything. If you don't have a boyfriend, you're doing nothing.
Yeah,
your
no,
time
you
is,
are more than welcome to explore if you need
you still
to.
have other relationships in your life, not just the romantic ones. And those deserve just as much focus, love, and attention as the romantic ones. So all your time is not necessarily yours. It is just yours to divide up into what you want it to. That's it. So instead of having to consider with your partner, oh, can we see my parents this weekend and then your parents next weekend? Can we hang out with your friends on Friday, my friends on Saturday? So instead of having to do it like that, you can be like, I'm going to see my friends on Friday. I'm going to see my parents on Saturday.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to Clay Cafe on Sunday and make a vase. You know, it's yours to divide up.
It's more
not
I
necessarily
than we.
yours alone.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%. I like that. Okay, solo dates are a lot of fun. And I can agree to this. I had a solo date last night. I enjoyed it.
I really think
nice.
solo dates are just like, okay, like they're fine. Like, I feel like we've weirdly like built them up into being such a huge thing when they're actually just like, they're just the thing.
No, but the idea, maybe because I'm always just living in a very rushed, you know, environment.
To slow down and to do things
just
for
to
yourself.
slow down and just the ability to sit and eat with myself, not having to strike up a conversation with someone else, you know, and not have to necessarily think about I'm just reflecting and I'm eating and I'm enjoying my presence.
Yes.
It's maybe from, like, I enjoy it. I enjoy solo dates. I 100%.
I think they're great. I just feel like they're just like a thing, like in your life. Like, I feel like we mustn't build them up into being this wonderful, magnificent thing. Like, you must romance yourself and go out for dinner. Because sometimes going out for every meal alone or going... It's not fun.
Yeah, obviously, no, you
it's
can't
really
do
just,
it
okay,
all the
sometimes
time.
you're just going to go eat.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a big
But
experience.
if you want to watch a movie.
Yeah, like go
you
see
know,
a movie, you know, like sometimes
go to
like,
a gallery by
those
yourself.
are things just experiencing life. Like the whole I think it's like the whole construct of the solo date has become like this thing.
Yeah.
And I even remember on the TL like a week or so ago, someone's like, we need to stop being honest about solo dates. They're really just like, okay. Like, like they're just fine.
Yeah.
Like, they're not like
I mean, I don't
magnificent,
do them
life-changing.
I don't do them often, but when I do, I find them to be really great just to like plug in with myself.
And I feel like you could do that like at any point.
True.
So
I just don't necessarily
you just don't
get
get the time. So like I'm a fan of solo dates, but I really just like they're inconsequential in my mind.
You don't have to do them every week. You don't have to do it. But when you do, it's like
yeah, I mean, they're just there. It's a nice thing to do for yourself. But also like some people are quite extroverted and they like conversation, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to just not go out to eat alone.
Yeah.
Because it does get boring because you sit there, you eat, you rush, you go. Like, because you can sit a bit extra, but then you'd probably be on your phone. You'd probably be on your laptop. So you're not alone.
You're actually not alone.
You're doing things. So, like, it's not necessarily just like you sitting there alone all the time. You're still plugged into other people. You're still talking to other people. You're still doing other things. So that's why I'm like, this whole like building up this concept of the solo date. Yeah. Just relax.
Yeah.
Go to the movies. Enjoy yourself. But like, just calm down with this concept.
Rest
Just rest a bit.
All right. Point number 4 says, know the value of self-love. And there's some interesting point here that says, as women, we often lie in wait of a Prince Charming to tell us of our worth, of our value in the world. But why wait around? Why not say it to yourself before someone comes around to say it to you? Self-pampering shouldn't be a guilty pleasure. Make it necessary. And I think this is all that we've been saying.
Yeah, I agree, but I'm also in two minds about it because I feel like those things are not mutually exclusive. And I feel like we sometimes face the danger of trying to punt self-love too much to the point where we negate our basic human instincts and needs. And community, family, love, companionship, relationships, those are all very integral to us as human beings. So to want them, to desire them, is not a bad thing. It's not wrong.
Yeah.
It is bad to center your entire life around them.
Yes.
It is bad to prioritize those above yourself.
Right.
But okay, I love them. I do a pamper day, everything. I'm still sleeping alone at night. No one's cuddling me. Can't cuddle myself. You know, you can't self-love yourself out of loneliness.
100%.
You can't self-love yourself out of companionship. And it is important to not wait for other people to validate you before you validate yourself.
100%.
But there's nothing wrong with seeking external validation. And I feel like that is also something we've been made to feel ashamed of.
Yeah.
But there's nothing wrong. When your parents tell you that they're super proud of you, does that not mean something?
It does mean a
It
lot.
does mean something, you know?
Yeah.
Like someone acknowledging, even if you know that you are doing well, someone else acknowledging it is nice. It's nice to have. It helps you boost your self-esteem. It validates what you already know to be true, which bolsters you up and makes you more confident in your life. So there's nothing wrong with seeking or wanting or desiring external validation. There's nothing wrong with wanting companionship. The aim is just to not make your whole life about that. And that is the line that we need to be careful of in our discourse. Because sometimes we really polarize it as one or the other. When life is a combination of both, we just need to find the correct balance.
100%. And, you know, interesting enough that you're saying that we need to find the right balance. It's just, I think, for the next point where it says no pressure of commitment or marriage, sure, we don't feel that pressure, but we definitely feel the pressure from our parents.
Yeah.
Because
the pressure's there from somewhere.
I don't know what dawned on my mother.
Traditional African.
Woo!
It's there.
For some weird reason, last week, my mother was like, she looked at me and she's like, I'm ready for grandkids.
My mother did the same thing
So
a few
I'm
days
just
ago.
like, I'm typing and I'm like, and I look at her and she's looking at me and I'm like,
it's that Diddy meme where you're just like,
me? It's not, I'm sorry, you have another older daughter, she's getting married.
Literally.
Like, have that conversation with her.
but it's
not
also just
happening.
like, relax.
Please.
Like life has also drastically changed from our parents' generation because by our ages, they would have been married. They would have had kids.
Yes.
Even if they weren't married, they would have had kids by now. But then the thing is that dynamic also changed their relationship with their parents.
Exactly.
Now it became like more reliant also for sustenance to help take care of the child because they still had to go to work, etc. Their lives were not necessarily easy. And it's tricky because our lives are not easy now.
True.
And we have more choices.
Yeah.
So we are choosing not to lead a more difficult life.
Exactly.
Or make our children live difficult lives.
Yeah.
And it's weird how that's perceived as like bad or selfish or like whatever to other generations. So they still are putting that pressure on them because that's what they did. They didn't have the choice.
Exactly. Yeah.
We have the choice and we're choosing different. And they're just like, whoa, what is that?
Because even if you say, I don't want to get married, I don't believe in
I don't want children. Imagine if you had to tell them, I don't want your children.
Guys,
Now there's an intervention.
the whole family from Africa, like
Now they're doing a meeting.
people are flying in, people are coming through with the bus. There's a whole meeting congregation outside your house.
And it's so funny because
It's scary.
Because if you had to ask them in their child, if they had the option,
Yeah.
a lot of them wouldn't even choose this for themselves. It's because they didn't necessarily have the choice and we do. And I think they're just also just shocked that we're choosing.
Yeah.
Like it's a shock that we're choosing.
Yeah.
But like a lot of parents wouldn't be parents if they had the choice. A lot of people wouldn't have married who they married if they had other options or if they could have just stayed alone. So that is also the beauty in embracing singledom is that now we don't have to rush because our worth isn't as pegged to marriage or a child as theirs was. So they will project because that's all they know.
Exactly.
So it's our very difficult job to fight back and like protect ourselves and prioritize ourselves. But like we have a choice, so we gonna choose different.
Yeah,
Like,
don't rush. Don't rush.
Don't rush, slow
tired.
touch.
Yo, guys, yo, that song lost you.
triggered.
So triggered. Anyway, point number 6. Explore your body before someone else does.
Also valid. Know yourself, child.
Uh-huh.
Know yourself. And for some people, that means nothing at all.
Yes.
Because some people are, I think what the term is, it's like demi-romantic or something
Yes,
like
yes.
that. Where it's like you
Demisexual, yeah.
demisexual, where you
Yeah.
only feel sexual urges or sexual attraction when you have a partner, when you already have that like
Yeah.
emotional connection.
Yeah.
And that is valid too. But you need to get to a point when you know that. Like you actually need to know that for yourself, like what you want, what you don't want. Like
Yeah.
without it being dictated to you by a partner. So be single and question yourself. Like just question yourself, interrogate your own thoughts. And sometimes you may
Yes.
still come to the same answer,
Yeah.
but at least you thought about it.
And obviously, like, don't let your pleasures be
Dictated.
by someone else. Like, navigate that for yourself.
Know what
Discover
you
things.
want.
Exactly.
And then also tell them, the next person, so they know what you want and don't want. Like
Definitely that thing of like when you leave a relationship and going into the next relationship, I definitely prioritize pleasure because like the previous relationship, intimacy was pop.
Yeah.
Pop. It was only for his pleasure and his
Yeah.
pleasure alone. And I was like, not like this.
not like this. No one can live like that. So you gotta do what's best for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So more than anything, embracing singlehood is really just looking at that like.
And I feel like that's
that
also why a
list.
lot of people go through like a post-breakup hoe phase. 'Cause They're
Yes.
also just trying to like reclaim
See,
what they
like,
lost
What,
in the
what will
relationship.
dictate? What will dictate the
You
next,
know,
thing?
also just they need to make up for what they were losing out on in a relationship
Uh-huh.
when they were prioritizing their other partner's needs over their own. So
And
now they're
ooh.
like, now I'm gonna get mine.
And we do that a lot. So
Yes.
number 7 here says flirt to your heart's content. So just like go out there,
Talk to people
and talk to people.
Meet people.
Guy,
Like that's one of my very like tricky things that I struggle with, and I think
You know
that
how
also
to flirt?
child. But I think no, the problem is like I think it also stems from like the trauma of high school and relationships and dating and feeling undesirable and unwanted. There's so often the urge that any man who takes interest we must date. You know what I mean? Or it's like any man who takes interest and I like, he's the one.
Yes.
And it's like you really don't have to settle for any person who takes interest. You don't have to decide that the next man who actually just looks at me, that is my husband.
100%.
And that is something that admittedly I do because I'm a relationship pun. I like dating. So now I'm always on the hunt for the next boyfriend or even worse, the husband. I'm always searching
the
for the husband.
husband.
And when you're always constantly looking for your husband, you
Yeah.
will literally just like gloss over just
The tiniest.
just no, but like you will number one, you will negate just the fun in dating and flirting. You won't date multiple people because you'll be like, I'm dating one person, so I'm gonna date one person.
Exactly.
That person is it.
Yeah.
And then
you
number
can't have
two,
an archive list.
yeah, and then number two, you're gonna force this relationship to happen.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
Yeah.
you see some red flags, oh, some things I don't like, but this is my man and I love him. So
No.
I'm gonna stick
Don't
beside
down
him.
that hill,
I'm gonna
ma'am.
stick beside him.
No, ma'am.
That's your king and you love him.
No, ma'am.
And like that is also the pressure of like when you don't have experience in dating when you're young, you will just like cling on to anyone who you can date when you're older.
100%.
So like that's why it's like I feel bad for a lot of like black girls in our generation, especially those who went to like Model C and private schools, because there was a lot of like nonsense, like
Yo.
mess.
I remember in particular
Trauma,
this one boy
violence.
saying, I'll never ever date a black girl. Like, and we're like, why? He's just like, I'll never do it.
Yeah.
Why?
And
I
they
could
hated
never
you.
answer.
They just
But
hated
they'll
us.
be the same to like use you as references. They'll be the same to like comment or touch your hair or throw sand. in
And
your
it's
freaking
annoying
hair.
because it's like now in 2021, when they're also reckoning with the trauma in their high schools, they forget the violence that they inflicted on others.
exactly.
And we have to now reckon with both. That's the pain of misogynoir. They're talking about the racism they experience. We're talking about the racism and then also now the sexism because of the racism that we
Exactly.
experience from now everyone.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And when you're processing and dealing with all of that as a child and you don't have the necessary tools to do so or even understand what's going on, you don't know the words. You don't know what you're experiencing. You don't know that it's desirability politics at play. You don't know it's misogynoir. You don't know it's racism, but you know that you're being left out.
Yeah.
You know that you're the only one who hasn't gone on a date on a Friday night. You know that you don't have anyone to ask to matric dance. That's what you know. You don't know why, but now you start to internalize those things because it's like they're societal and happening at a larger level, but they're happening to you personally. So you internalize that, like, maybe I'm ugly, maybe I'm fat, maybe I'm this, maybe I'm too dark, maybe I'm
too loud.
You don't know why exactly you're being excluded. And I'll never forget when I was going through that turmoil for matric dance, and my sisters literally just looked at me and they were just like, girl, when you go to varsity,
I'm telling you,
you're gonna, don't worry about it.
This
Like
will be nothing.
This too shall, when you go to university, you're gonna see things differently.
Yeah.
And best believe I did.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I was a hot gal. And I was like, I knew I was beautiful. But it's like when you don't experience being beautiful in school, when you don't experience it romantically, it's hard to keep validating yourself. And that's why it's like you can't self-love yourself out of like things like wanting compassion or even like societal issues, larger things. You can't protect yourself from feeling everything in the world, you know?
It's so weird.
It's
how
so
Model
difficult.
C, I literally want reparations for what
Literally,
Model
we
C
deserve
schools have done for us,
compensation.
because it's so crazy that matric dance exactly was the same experience. Like, I was panicking as to who I should bring. There were at least 2 guys I was like, okay, they've expressed that they like me, but I just don't know how I'm going to click or vibe when they're like amongst the other desirable
because you're
girls.
honestly just like, I need someone.
So I just took my gay best friend.
Yeah.
I was just like, I'm just going with you. It's fine. You know, at least I know the intentions are clear. It's totally fine. Keep it moving.
To you, I asked one of my mom's friends' sons that I literally had met like maybe a month before.
Wow.
We were not friends. We didn't really know each other at all, but I was just like, he's decently tall. He said yes.
And that's it.
That's it.
That's it. You're just gonna look nice. I'm gonna look nice. We're gonna show up, and that's it.
It was really just like I had no options because that was just not a thing that I did in high school. So it's like when you have to reckon with all of that in your adulthood, it's very easy to just be like, oh, there's interest in me now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just settle for whoever's interested. Or this one he seems pretty good enough. He checks enough boxes. The red flags, the non-compatibilities, the other things. Okay, it's fine. I'll manage. And it's like, for some things in your life, you shouldn't be managing.
Exactly.
For certain issues, especially because if they're red flags now, you get married, they turn into like what's redder than a red flag? You know what I mean? It's an ocean of red now. Yeah. Now you're in too deep.
Not even Moses can part the sea.
You let too much slide because you were trying to fast the unfastable because you didn't know that you had other options because you didn't date and you didn't know what it's like to date.
Yeah.
So the point of this really long story
is flirt.
Date.
Get your flirt on.
Chat to people. Don't settle for the first one that gives you attention.
Yeah.
And even still so vetted and have your standards, have your protocol. You don't have to go on a date with everyone who you flirt with. You don't have to like get into a relationship with everyone you date. You don't have to marry everyone you're in a relationship with.
100%.
You have options.
Yes.
Even if it doesn't necessarily feel like it.
Yeah.
Because things like desirability, etc., still come into play when you're older. But at least like you will have better tools to understand and navigate it better and find your tribe and find your people.
I think the easiest thing to do, especially during my Tinder days, was that I had like my memo pad and I'd say, okay, Thomas, 7 out of 10.
I'm dead.
Jonas, you know, like different lists, just to remind myself. Because
what
Tinder's
you
also just like,
Tinder
you
is
just
a
go
mess.
through
Oh my
so
gosh.
many people you forget. But I'd only do that list when we moved from Tinder to WhatsApp talking stages. So.
Yeah, I really hate giving people my phone number. So I very seldom progress to the WhatsApp stages. Like the apps really traumatize me a little bit. And I just get overwhelmed. I think I get really overwhelmed on the apps because it's like, we all know what we're there for.
Yes.
So there's no like excitement of meeting someone new or like just talking organically. Now it's like we are both here to find love. Oh yeah, find love now. Go. And there's too much like, I find that's too, like if you want to slide in my DMs on Twitter and chat and banter.
Yeah.
Let's banter. That's how I met my other boyfriends.
Yeah,
like,
let's just banter. Yeah.
you know? But like the apps are so like, everyone is so pointed. They're like, oh, you're beautiful, cool. Can we go for dinner tonight? Or, oh, you're so great. Give me your phone number. Like, there's a rush because it's like, we're here to find love. Let's find love. Yeah. Let's go.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and it's just been a weird They're just so weird.
No.
Do you know what? Do you know what? Also, the one thing that I've been really struggling with, men are boring, and
Okay.
I don't know how to.
see this.
I
Explain.
don't know how to pretend, and
To
even
be
now,
like, oh my gosh, that's so
yeah, I don't know how to
interesting."
be interested.
Yeah.
And I don't know how. I can barely be nice to them. Like I just really struggle with doing that type of thing, and especially on the apps, you have to do a lot of that. You have to do a lot of pandering, a lot of palatability,
and just always
just being like,
investigating,
being like
questioning.
excitable
Yes,
and interested
desirable,
in the mundanity,
and laughing at the whack ass
and
puns.
I'm just like, nope. And
let
that's
me just make this disclaimer: men can't flirt.
they are so
Men, let me just rather say this: African men,
and they
can't
just
flirt.
they're not funny.
they're not funny. They just
Not
don't get it.
interesting.
It always
There's
just
no-
has to
Yo,
allude to my body.
listen, in
No,
Doda Maibe
sir.
banter.
Yo,
The boys cannot
guys.
banter.
Yo,
To find a man with
guys.
good banter, like a witty repartee, I struggle. And I don't know if it's because I'm so like magnificent, incredible, beautiful,
Yes, you
talented,
are.
smart, delicious. Like
Yes,
I don't
yes.
know if it's me,
Yes, yeah.
but I have a feeling it's them.
100%.
I feel like it's them.
100%.
But that also leads into why I cannot pretend. And then if you say something problematic, I can't brush it off. I just can't be nice to men. I struggle. And some people find that endearing. They find it funny. They get the jokes. And that's the type of person I'm looking for. Can you get the jokes? Other people, they don't
Are
get
you,
the
like,
jokes.
on
And I'm like,
cue?
I don't want to explain the jokes.
yeah,
to
why do I
you.
have to explain?
I'm not
like,
explaining the jokes.
Why
to
do I have to
you.
explain Portia saying, who said that? Who
I'm not-
said that? Like, I can't establish the context to every... No.
No, and that's why even some people are like, they want a man without social media, and I'm like, I'll be damned if I have to explain memes to someone, or someone sends me a Facebook meme 3 months after it was on Twitter or TikTok.
If he doesn't get the standing emoji,
If he doesn't know why, I'm like,
if he doesn't get no.
no. We need to, and maybe it's all of these subcategories that make me difficult to date, because it's like I'm very picky in that regard. But it's also just like, just to make life simple, we need to just be aligned. You know, let's just be aligned. Let's be on the same page.
The same page.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100% agree. So point number 8, last point, says more time with your girlfriends. Now, there's always a weird phase that happens when you get into a new relationship and then your best friends sort of like don't know how to fit in. And I think more than anything, you always just have to make sure you prioritize your friendships and your relationships.
Yeah.
That you're not prioritizing one over the other.
Yeah,
So
I
it
feel like
doesn't-
it's like, that's not necessarily like the pro of being single. That's like a challenge for when you're in a relationship. You know, like when you get into a relationship, you need to still exist as a human being in
Yes.
your own entity. And that
Yes.
includes having your own friends. Like I find it's more often that like women, especially young women, when they date men, they have to join the men's social group. Like when he's going out with the boys or they're having a bride, you will go there, but if the girls are hanging out, he won't come.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like it's very easy to just assimilate into his life and he won't have to change much.
Yeah.
But it's like you need to also be able to stand your ground and be like, I'm going to prioritize my friends, my family, my interests, and you should hope to be with a person who embraces that, encourages that, and takes enough interest to want to be a part of that as well. Like a lot of times, like men don't change their lives because of a relationship, but women change everything because of a man. And that's one of the things we need to unlearn, but it's also now like, this is what we mean by partnership.
Right.
You need to come know my friends the same way I know your friends.
Right.
We need to have our separate interests as much as I've now acclimated to your interests or you've acclimated to mine. So it's like, it's important when you're single to make time with your friends, but it's not a thing that you do when you're single. It's a thing that you must make sure you do when you're in a relationship. That's what you need to do, is make sure you maintain it when you're actually in a relationship. The worst thing is when someone gets like dumped or has a breakup and then they walk back to their friends like, hey guys, can I come with you to the party?
And you're like, bitch, where were you for the
Girl.
past like 8 months?
Girl, now you got to catch up on all of the interpersonal dynamics because you just weren't there. You weren't at the groove when Mang Mang threw a glass at so-and-so. Now they aren't friends anymore. And da-da-da-da, blah, blah, blah. You weren't there because you decided to be posted is for Benny with your hand, which is valid. Sometimes you just want to be at home with your mans, but it's like, you need to find the balance when you're in a relationship so that you don't have to now prioritize solely on your friendships when you're single.
100%.
Balance.
100%. And that is all
Pure.
Wayne, thank you so much for blessing us with your amazing presence.
Thank you so much
And
for having me. This was a fun chat.
You know, you said a lot. I feel like this was a TED Talk more
I
than
said,
anything.
listen, book me for TED Talks.
Yes.
Off the dome, let's rock.
Let's go.
rock.
But what would your TED Talk really be on?
Anything.
Like, would it be
Just don't
like
worry
how
about
to
it.
draw,
Don't
like
worry
draw
about
color
it.
eyeliner.
Listen, give me a
or
TED
like how
Talk
to
on
put a
anything and I will
foundation.
talk it.
Yes, yes,
I will
girl.
just give me a topic and I'll go off the dome.
Let's go.
That's my special talent.
I love to see it. So where can peeps find you?
You can find me literally anywhere.
Not on the streets, please don't say on the
I
streets.
mean,
Oh my God.
it may be winter, but the club is always warm. So you know what I'm saying. But you can find me on Twitter at
Yes.
Foyin_OG, on Instagram and TikTok at FoyinOg. I'm on YouTube as FoyinOg as well. On Facebook, FoyinOg the blog, and on the interwebs at www.foyinog.com.
Do you want to also leave your LinkedIn because you just left all your links? Do you want
Why?
to give us your ID number?
Why are you
Do you want to
adding me
give
on
us your
LinkedIn?
residential address?
I'm
Like,
dead.
damn, girl.
Listen, just Google me.
Why
Actually.
did you? Yeah, just literally, you could just say, just Google me, and then
Google
people
me.
find all your. But I
Ask
love
about
that.
me. Ask about me.
Ask about me. Google me, baby.
Google me,
Google
baby.
me. But I love this conversation. I think it's so important, you know, and
Definitely.
I appreciate the perspectives we had about singlehood. And to our listeners, if you are single, don't feel negative about it. Embrace it more than anything. Just, you know, take the time to love yourself, also love other people, learn how to flirt, do whatever you need to that is positive and doesn't have a negative impact on your mental health.
Just
But
take care of yourself.
Exactly. But for me, the wonderful, incredible Minister of Menstruation, Candace, and from our extra special guest,
Miss Foyin OG.
we are out.